So let's start with a big question. What actually makes a message stick? How do you take a really complex idea and make it so compelling that someone might actually change their entire worldview because of it? Now, just to be clear, we're not here to preach. We're here to deconstruct a methodology to see how it's built.
The material we're looking at is a manual designed to teach what it calls soul winning. And our goal here is pretty simple. We're going to neutrally map out its structure. We'll look at the core problem it presents, the solution it offers, and the specific tactics it teaches, all to understand how this system of communication is designed to work.
Any good pitch, any good argument, it always starts by establishing a problem, and this manual is no different. It kicks things off by defining the fundamental stakes of human existence from its point of view, creating a problem that the rest of the system is built to solve.
So what is that foundational problem? Well, it all comes down to one word: sin. But the manual is clear this isn't just about, doing bad things. It's framed as a fundamental state of being, a separation from God. This immediately sets up a really high-stakes universal conflict that, of course, needs a resolution. And right away, the manual lays out this incredibly stark choice. It's a powerful binary. On one side, you have the consequence of that separation, what it calls the wages of sin, which means spiritual death. And on the other side, you have the gift of God, which is eternal life. This contrast, right there, is Persuasion 101. It's designed to create a real sense of urgency. And this quote, it just perfectly sums up the whole value system of the manual. By closing its intro with this proverb, it frames the act of persuasion, of winning souls, as not just, a good deed, but as the absolute highest form of wisdom a person can achieve. Okay, so we've got the problem. What's the solution? Well, according to the manual, the solution isn't a what, it's a who. It's an agent of change. And it lays out this profile of the ideal evangelist, or as it calls them, the soul winner. What's really interesting here is how they define the ideal communicator. It's not about being a theologian who knows a ton of facts. It's all about having a genuine personal experience, a deep emotional conviction, and being proactive. Your own story, your testimony, becomes your number one tool. It's all about authenticity, while at the same time actively steering the conversation toward a very specific goal. So how do you actually do all this? Well, to make the whole process tangible and easy to remember, the manual builds its entire method around one single, really powerful analogy, straight from the Gospels. This is really the strategic heart of the whole manual. It's not just a cute metaphor. Each step is a direct instruction. Go where the fish are. That means get out of the church building. Use the right kind of bait. That means you have to tailor your message to the person you're talking to. Don't frighten them away. That's all about your tone. It's a complete start-to-finish game plan, cleverly disguised as this simple fishing trip. Okay, so you've got the theory, you've got the fishing analogy, but what does this actually look like in practice? Well, the manual gives us what it considers the ultimate case study in how to do it right. The story they hold up as the absolute gold standard is the encounter between Jesus and the woman of Samaria at the well. It's presented as the perfect blueprint, and the manual breaks it down piece by piece to pull out tactical lessons that anyone can use. The first thing the manual points out is all the roadblocks Jesus had to push through just to even start the conversation. He ignored logic, he was tired, and he had to cross these huge cultural and religious divides. The big lesson here is about being intentional, being willing to go out of your way to connect with someone. And this right here is the conversational playbook. The manual basically reverse engineers the dialogue into a 4-step process. First, you find common ground, in this case, water. Then you pique their curiosity. Step 3 is the pivot, skillfully shifting from the natural topic to the spiritual one. And finally, you deliver the core message directly. It's a model for guiding a totally normal chat toward a profound conclusion. All right, let's get into the real nuts and bolts. This next part of the manual is the most prescriptive, giving the specific words and frameworks for that final crucial stage, getting a commitment.
See, the system isn't just going to leave you hanging in that crucial moment. It gives you these easy-to-remember scripts and frameworks. They're designed to give the evangelist a ton of confidence and a clear roadmap for how to, well, close the deal. The ABCD of salvation is a perfect example of this. It's a clever little memory trick, right? An acronym that takes this huge, abstract idea of conversion and breaks it down into 4 simple, actionable steps. It just makes the whole decision-making process feel a lot simpler.
And just to make sure nothing gets lost in translation at the finish line, the manual even gives you a script for the moment of conversion. This sample prayer provides the exact words to use, making sure all the key theological bases are covered.
But the whole process doesn't just end there. And this is super important. It circles right back to that fishing analogy, to step number 6. Don't allow the fish to get away. The job isn't done after a prayer. The manual stresses that it requires follow-up, integrating that person into a community for long-term support and reinforcement.
So when you look at the whole thing, from establishing a high-stakes problem, to profiling the ideal messenger, to providing a central analogy, case studies, and even literal scripts, what we have here is a complete, end-to-end blueprint for persuasion. And that leaves us with a really interesting question to think about. Regardless of what you think of the message itself, what can this highly systematic approach teach us about the raw mechanics of communication and maybe even the architecture of belief itself?